Starting our year with our lectures and all activities again at Toronto Spirit Society, and I'd like to thank also everyone that's connected us in the internet that's been helping us and been following us and participating. So again, thank you all for joining us today. We're talking about today, the lecture is going to be the gift of incarnation. This is such a nice way of starting a new turn around the sun, right, for the new year. In a way, we're kind of freshen up and starting again, right? That's always a great thing to remind ourselves the importance of this gift that we received, right? The chance of coming back and restarting and learning again, right? And that's what one of the core elements of what we understand in Spiritism. So today we're going to have our initial reading by Danielle here with us, and then we're going to have our lecturer Raphael presenting us this very, very important topic. Okay, and then at the end we're going to have our passes, purified water, and some and any other questions you guys might have. Okay, so I'd like to call Daniel to come here and read for us from the book Happy Life. Please, go.
Choose the company you keep. Bad company can be an inappropriate presence in your life and affect its course. Nobody is so independent and complete that he does not run the risk of contamination from those who are involved in evil doing or vicious foolishness. Be kind to the wicked and mischievous, but do not let your activities and philosophy of life get mixed up with moral weaknesses also infect the unwary who gets too close to them.
All right. So let us all think about Jesus at this moment, elevate our thoughts and our minds, thinking about all the spirits that are here with us today, our Master Jesus, and we ask the blessings at this moment, particularly to our speaker today, for all of us, for all of those who we're thinking about now out there in the world. So may we get the blessings of this beautiful lecture today, and may we spread the word with our actions, and so be it. So we're gonna get started now.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
So as Marco was saying, we're starting a new year, and even though technically it's just, as he said, just another turn around the sun, but what the importance is how we feel. We're starting. It's just like the gift of reincarnation. We receive the gift of another year. Another year for us to think about what we want to change in ourselves. And it's very much connected to every new day that we receive in this life. We barely think about that when we wake up in the morning and we are still here. It could have happened that we didn't wake up. Actually, to me, this is a very, very good way to go. So you were sleeping and you just disconnect while you're sleeping. Because I think that when that happens, the person has that person has merit. But so that is what I want to discuss today, which is a topic that every now and then we bring it back. Actually, we talked about several times in a year. It's one of the pillars of Spiritism, and it's one of the pillars in understanding the divine justice, the gift of reincarnation, the gift of having so many chances, or an infinite amount of chances to come back, to keep trying, to keep growing. And in order to try to understand this mechanism, or to have a very humble analysis on it, I'd like to start with or base this on a statement or a saying that Jesus left to us a long time ago. And he says that I'm the way, the truth, and the life. This is very deep. We read this and we brush past through it, and we don't understand what is it that he was trying to tell us. When we reach that level of evolution, we don't do anything without a goal, without an objective. And that objective, it's 100% always the development of the fellow spirits. So he said those words for us to learn from it, from us to evolve and to use that as a guide. So that's why he said, I'm the way. If you follow my way, you'll figure out the truth. And the truth is going to give you life. And this is from a spirit that was at peace, even when undergoing torture. He never lost his peace. So this is his way. But when he was on that particular difficult moment, where was his thought? Where was he connected to? And he hints that in a passage that I like it very much. When he met, when he was reunited with John and James, the two brothers, sons of Zebedee and Salome. So they were very young, and if you read the Gospels, Jesus was a hugger, so he was full of love. So we have these images where Jesus with sad eyes and like a sad man that is suffering. But that was not him. He's full of joy, full of joy. He liked to hug. You see, every time that he meets the apostles, he sees as a friend, and they hug him. They're a very happy group. So when James and John, they heard Jesus speaking, and kind of it touched them. Jesus touched them because they had already accepted that mission. So when they saw Jesus, they kind of, oh yeah, this is the way. This is the way. Then they went there and they went to talk to Jesus, and Jesus, of course, hugged them, and they all sat down. And they were talking about when the kingdom of God, this symbol, this is the kingdom of God, will be established on earth. So when Earth becomes a happy planet, and they were talking about how good it will be here. So this is all told to us by Umberto de Campos in the book Good News, 1 Hour. And then these two kids, the young men, they went back home and they told their parents, Zebedee and Salome, all this about this guy that showed them the way, and it was so good. Everything felt so good. Life was, God is just, God is love, and all that, and they were very, very happy. But Salome and Zebedee, they thought with their eyes facing the material world. So they thought that Jesus was actually a real prince or a king from a kingdom from this earth. So then Salome went to talk to Jesus in the next day and to tell him, please take my kids and put one to your right and one to your left. Make them part of your kingdom. Just give them a good life. That's what, with my own words, what she was trying to say. And Jesus looked at her and saw that she was not looking at the real life, the way the truth of the life. He was looking at the life of the body. And then he said that that's okay, they can follow me, but they need to be ready to drink from my cup. And his cup is the cup of, he mentioned himself, suffering and death. And then Zebedee, also the next day, went there with the same mentality. And Jesus explained that in order, so he explained a little bit more because Zebedee understood a little bit more. So he said, in order for us to establish the kingdom of heaven on earth, what is required of us is immense sacrifice. It's suffering and death. So why is it that, so we have these two different scenarios. When Jesus is with the apostles, they are talking about the happiness, this happy world, this happy life. And when Jesus was talking to Salome and Zebedee, he was saying that he was talking about death and suffering and hardships. Well, what is the difference? The difference is that Jesus, when he was talking to the apostles, he could show them the life of the Spirit, the life that we are trying to reach, the life that we are destined to live, which is happy life, it's happiness. We are all destined to be happy. And when he talked to Zebedee and Salome, he was talking about what is it that is required for us to get to that stage. He's not saying that we all need to suffer. We all need to undergo pain. No, that's not what he was saying. He was saying that those particular missionaries, the apostles, particular missionaries, they accepted the mission to come here at 2,000 years ago and talk about love and forgiveness to a people that knew almost nothing about love. What they knew was war and conflict and punishment. That's why for them, God was a man, a very stern man, that if you don't follow, you are punished. That's the old law. And Jesus put together this group of 12 to come and say the opposite. So he knew that those 12 or whoever else came after, Paul was not part of the 12. So all the other missionaries, they will have to suffer the ignorance of the people of the time. I say the people, it might have been us there. So, and by suffering that ignorance, they would plant the seed of love. So, which is it's a very important and sometimes difficult to understand mechanism of spreading love. Sometimes you spread love by suffering the ignorance of your brother and sister. What do I mean by that? Those guys that the Romans or whoever was there at the time that crucified Jesus, I can assure you they never forgot that. We never forgot, right? We are still here talking about Jesus. If he hadn't suffered the way he suffered, maybe his image wouldn't be so strong today yet. So that's what he meant. And that's why he had different scenarios. It's all the same scenario, but the thing is, people that have their eyes concentrated on this world, they can only see the suffering of one lifetime. They can only see one lifetime. So then, material assets, pride, or the titles that we accumulate, they become the goal of your life. And when we talk about, or when we have a glimpse of reality through diseases or through the death of a friend, of someone close to us, it it creates a shock, a traumatizing situation, because it showed us that it shows us at that moment that our mindset is just not correct. And as a society, we still continue with this mindset. We develop laws around this mindset, laws that legalize abortion. And people base that on science, but guys, there's no consensus of when life begins. We don't know when life begins. Science cannot tell you that that fetus is not alive. So we cannot, whoever tells you that abortion, so science has proven that after 3 weeks, up to 3 weeks, you can still do abortion, that there's nothing there. It is not. This is based on a broken model of reality. Why do I say model? Well, I use this word a lot. So when I my own work, or if you work with anything that is science, you try to create a model. So like, for example, the spread of the virus, the coronavirus, or all of its variants. In order to act, you try to figure out what will be the spread of this virus. Should I close, should we go into lockdown, or should we not go into lockdown? So then we create a model to try to predict that reality that we're living in. And we all have models. We have models that help us to make decisions on what we're going to do with our lives. And what's the next step? We wake up and we start making decisions. And the model that we have been given, or that we have accepted, and it seems that we still live under it, is that we live only once. That even we live only once, but we'll never die. We are immortals. That's how we live, right? If we disagree, if we think, no, I am mortal, then what's the point of having a huge savings account that you're never going to spend? Or to accumulate assets? What's the point of that? Or to have death as a taboo. You don't talk about it, you don't think about it. Oh, am I going to be alive tomorrow? You don't talk about it, you don't think about it. If you bring that up, that's something you're shut down, because people don't want to think about that. That's the model that we live today. Death penalty, it's another thing. It's something that we are learning. So that was the first thing the first initial steps into a justice system as a civilization that we had. If you do something wrong, you're put to death. That was the first thing that we learned how to do. So someone bothers me, we kill them, or kill them. And hopefully, not hopefully, happily, we are learning that really doesn't work very well. So it's eventually is going to disappear from our society. But some people still think that, hey, if you kill the person, you solve the problem. Again, a broken model of reality. You can't kill the spirit. So let's think on this logic. A criminal, let's say under our own judgment, a terrible person. And we kill that person. The body is dead, but the spirit now is free. And how hard would it be for that spirit to join together with another spirit that is now incarnated, which has the same inclinations? How hard would it be for that criminal spirit to influence the other incarnated to do the same crimes. How hard would that be? How hard would that be for them to create such a tight connection? Maybe not even an obsession because they're like so close. How hard would that be for the crimes to be repeated and keep going? It's like violence. We think that is so it solves the problem, but it doesn't. Or a war. It seems that it's solved in the first 5 years, first 10 years, but then it happens again. Killing or be violent is also the result of this broken model of us looking into the material life and not looking at the life of the spirit. If you look at the life of the spirit, you see that none of that works. The only thing that works, we go back to the way, the truth, and the life. We have a model, Jesus Christ. So now we understand why is it that he didn't fight back when he was captured. He didn't complain. He could. So, at the time of Jesus, Galilee, so Judea, that region, was one of the most unstable Roman provinces because the Hebrews, they never really accepted to be conquered. So they were always ready for a revolution, which eventually happened in 78 after Christ. So Jesus, with his power of speaking, I forgot the term now. So he spoke really well. So he had that charisma, that magnetism. He could have put an army together like that. They were ready. They were actually, that was one of the main problems, that they were expecting him to be a general and then lead them to war. And he said, hey man, this doesn't work. Look at the past. That's all we have been doing for the past thousands of years. It doesn't work. So what he wanted to do is to leave the seeds of love, not for that incarnation, but for the future incarnation. So Jesus was thinking way ahead to the life of the Spirit. How long did it take, for how many incarnations did it take for us to really accept Jesus as our way? Have we accepted today? Have we fully accepted right now? When someone cuts you off in traffic, you think like Jesus? How many more incarnations? And the thing is, God keeps giving you another chance. And they understand that it takes time. They see at the life of the Spirit, not the life of the body. When you take into account this type of model, you change that model that doesn't work, and you take this model that you are learning from Spiritism as part of your life, then you see that things start making more sense. You see that suicide makes no sense. I cannot kill myself. I can't. I'm going to kill my body. And it's something that is completely illogical now. If you understand and take the reincarnation model as your model. Because then you see, we received the gift to come to this life because we asked for it. So we wanted to come. And then, now we put some more knowledge from the Spiritist literature. More often than not, we go through a planning with technicians that they look at our chromosomes, they look at our bodies, So if you see that the memories of a suicide, it's amazing the details that they explain there. And some other works. Well, there's several books. You put everything together, you understand that there's a huge plan that we are part of it before we incarnate. And we are given some choices. Sometimes we ask for our body not to be that perfect because we know that a perfect body may bring back that weakness that I know I have. Sometimes we ask, I don't want ever to have a lot of money. Because having a lot of money might create a wide road for my addictions. If I don't have money to buy what I'm addicted to, I'm forced not to be addicted because I don't have money to buy it, right? But when we are here, we are immersed in this fog that is with a brain that cannot decode too much information. We cannot remember everything. For one thing, we really need to learn to forgive ourselves. If we know everything that we did in our past incarnations, it will be too much for us. It will make us sad, which is not the point. The point is moving forward, always forward. So that's why we were giving a brain that only holds enough information for one life. One life. And it's based on the five senses of our body, our physical body. So then we were giving this so that when we are here, we continue to live the plan that we helped to develop. And then, when I'm going through what I choose myself, what I chose, I decide that I don't want this anymore. And I decide that I'm going to kill myself. So this it makes no sense at all, because you can't. It's physically impossible. You can't kill yourself. And second, what about all the plan that we went through? So we know that there are more spirits discarnated living around this planet than incarnated spirits. Not everybody has a place all the time. There's more people wanting to reincarnate than people that are actually incarnated. So it's a spot that we were given to be here. And then I decided to screw it up by killing myself, which is going to increase the work with a lot of other people that are going to have to take care of you. Because then you're going to multiply your suffering by 1,000. Because now you kill your own body, but you're not disconnected from your own body because you're not supposed to die at that time. And then you get dragged together with your body, screaming, and then people have to go there and work on it and try to disconnect you. So you see that if we change this mindset, this model of reality, we see that many things that are normal to us today, to our society, they make no sense. I have a disease, and this disease is too hard for me to bear, which is not true, because if you have the disease, you are strong enough to go through it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have received that disease. And then I have the legal option to have someone help me to die, assisted suicide. It's the same thing. So then we go back to the life of the spirit, the reincarnation model. What's going to happen is that that suffering that you are going through is needed for you to develop, for you to reach your happiness. As Haroldo Dutra once said in one of his lectures, if you don't want to be happy, if you don't want to evolve and be a happy spirit, it doesn't matter. You're going to be dragged regardless. It doesn't matter. You're going to get there. I don't want to evolve. It doesn't matter if you want it or not. You will evolve. You will, in one way or another. So then if you are going through that suffering, it's because it's important for you, and more often than not, as I said, we chose that because we knew that that's the way to strengthen the part in us that is weak. And if you decide to end it, what's going to happen is that you are going to have to go through that. You're going to have to complete that. You're going to have to complete that. There's no other way. But now you decide to create something worse. You created a whole new debt. Then your evolution stops. Then you're going to fix the problem, the mess that you have just made. Then you spend another century fixing that mess. I shoot myself in the head. Okay. Then you have to reincarnate several times with a brain that doesn't function properly until you reestablish a healthy brain, and then you come back to the suffering that you wanted to get rid of from the beginning. So you see, once you change this model, you start seeing things more clearly. The way, the truth, and the life. So this is the way. And you follow this way, you find out the truth. That's why we talk so much about studying Spiritism. Because that's what we're trying to do, to find the truth. And once you do that, you find the life. Even if you are incarnated, but you remember life of the Spirit. It doesn't mean that well, in the Gospel, the Spirit tells us to be a human or a man. The first translation is a man of the world, but a human being of the world. Get a job, have your profession, have your families, live as a man of the time. While you are here, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your duty. That's what you have to do. But don't forget that you are an immortal spirit. An immortal spirit. And this is another incarnation. We may have many other incarnations until we learn how to follow Jesus, but to really follow the way. And so each incarnation I see as a filter for water. So when you make a filter, first you put rocks. When you want to do like a rough filter, so you put rocks, and then you put very rough sand, and that finer sand, and then even finer sand, and then you can put some active charcoal, or maybe in the end you put UV light, and then the water comes very muddy, and in the other side it gets clear, and you can drink. So each incarnation, depending on the impurities that we have in our hearts, we are going through one of these stages of the future. So if it's a lot, then it's a lot of rocks. Like we have a lot of rocks in our ways, like it's more bumpy road. We suffer more. But then we start purifying ourselves, and it's finer and finer sand until it's not that bumpy anymore. We continue learning, but it doesn't hurt that much. That's a regeneration plan. That's where we are going. So it is hard to put in words the gratitude of everything that we were given, the gratitude to be here now, to be part of this transition, knowing that the planet will get better. Everything will get better, and we will be happier. And it's not going to take that long. How long? I don't know. But from the spiritual view, is not that long. We are here, we have healthy bodies, we can move, we can talk. So many things that we take for granted. Sometimes we forget all these blessings and we get stuck on a small thing that is bothering us in our life. We need to change that model and see things with the perspective, see the right perspective of life. As immortal spirits, we're all going to be happier. And what we are going through right now, the suffering that we're going through, it's important for us to get there. It's important for us to get better, be stronger. If you imagine that, I don't know if all of you guys read No Solar, but you see those spirits that go into caravans and they go to Umbral to rescue other spirits. How cool would it be to be one of those spirits? To go into everybody get together, all friends, and then they go take a caravan and they go to Umbral to rescue spirits that they need help. But the thing is, in order to be one of those spirits, you have to be strong. Because if you go to Umbral, you're not going to find a lot of very polite spirits. You're going to find very aggressive, unpolite, violent spirits. And if in the first offense that you hear, you stop and you start arguing, you're going to be there too. Immediately you are there too. So now instead of rescuer, you are rescuee. But in order that's like a muscle. You have to work it in order to be strong. So you're going to be here, and you're going to hear offenses. You're going to hear offenses. You're going to be trained. If you maintain your peace, even under those situations, that means you're strong. You see that the model of reality that we have now is the opposite, right? If you don't respond to offenses, you are weak. I'm telling you that it's the opposite. I have a small Yorkie at home. She's completely defenseless, but if you put her under the corner, she's going to turn into teeth, right? She's going to attack. So to attack, to react, is something that any animal can do. And we can do it too, because we came from the animals, so we still have that. The strength is, in amid the storm, you remember that you are an immortal spirit. You remember where you want to go. And you maintain that peace. You fight to maintain that peace inside of you. No matter what happens to you. So that's the strength of the spirit. That's the new model of reality, the model of reincarnation, the model of Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. Because that's what we want in the end, is to purify ourselves so that we can live happier and we can find life. And we do that right now, here, when we are incarnated. When we exit this basement, this house, that's when we continue, not start, continue. We have this, whatever it happens to us, whatever disease, whatever difficulty, that's what we need to remember. We are spirits, blessed spirits, with the gift of yet another reincarnation, yet another day. The opportunity to go to your job. Monday comes and you have a job to go to. You have food on your table. You go to the supermarket and you can buy the food that you want. You have a comfortable bed to sleep in. And then our boiler breaks or our washroom leaks, and then we get upset and start complaining that our washroom is leaking, and we forget all the other blessings. This is us, right? We forget the gifts, it's even hard to put in words. It's all this that we receive every day, the gift of life, the gift of being immortal, the gift of knowing that we'll be happy, completely happy, and we're going to be completely disconnected from this matter one day, such that we'll only come back to help our friends, our brothers and sisters, not because we need to, but because we want to, like Jesus did. The way, the truth, and the life. He didn't have to come here. He came here out of love for us. Just love. So this is the model of reality that I want, that all of us want to have in us, in our hearts, and that's why it's important to stress so many times a year, so the year in, year out, because we are very slow learners, and we forget this. We forget. But when we come and we are immersed in this light, in the blessing that we have here right now, with these mentors, that be sure that your mentor is here with you, and we have other mentors of this house, and we are under this light. And this is like it fuels our batteries. It gives us the strength that we need for another week. So that's why it's important for us to maintain this connection, because without it, chances are that we're going to go back to the first broken model of reality and start living life as if the goal is this matter. Thank you, guys. That's what I wanted to bring to you today.
So, anyone has any questions, any comments you want to share? Anything on the internet? No. So I can share one thing. So I think when we started studying spiritism years ago, I think that the reality thing you talked about, it hits so close to me because being trained as a scientist all my life, that's my profession, that's what I do for work, right? I question things, I doubt things, I find ways of proving things right or wrong, and all that. You know that too very well. And then when I started studying spiritism, I had this massive shock of reality of looking back and understanding that most of the things that I was so concerned about are not really that relevant. And the real life is spiritual life, and everything we mentioned, and kind of notions of understanding that when you really freeze, when you have all the laws of God inside of you, in other words, following the law is actually being free. It's like some absolutely interesting concepts that you start to learn in spiritism, and they're so true. And I think when you really embrace that, it does change things, and I think that's what our Pope brought to us so well today. It really brings that old reality where we kind of used to do things in a certain way, right? To a new reality is that we are actually these spirits. They're all here helping each other, learning, growing, and everybody's going to be happy and perfect one day. Like, that cannot be better, right? Think about that, right? Look at the consolation that it gives to us, right? And I think when we grasp that idea and put it inside our hearts, I think absolutely, I think what you summarized today, it really changes things quite a lot, right, Rafael? Okay. So thank you very much for today's lecture. So as we usually do on our Sundays, we're going to prepare ourselves for the classes. Before that, I'm going to say bye to our friends that are watching us over the internet. Thank you very much for following us. And will be here every Sunday now, moving forward, and of course, very soon. So the passes are indeed